All right, we're nearing the end. Very exciting. Okay, so now we're at the stage where we have got all of our tracks in here. And as you can see, we've got a lot going on. Let's look at our track list here. And this isn't even really that big of a deal. I'm just kind of whip this up pretty quickly over the semester, just here and there. But of course, it could take a lot more fleshing out to make it really awesome. But this will give you a good idea. So we've got, again, the video track. Then we've got dialogue, ADR. In this case, we just have a boom track for person 1, a boom track for person 2, and there is one line that we did ADR on. Hence, we've got these 3 tracks of dialogue. We've got plenty of, background sounds. We've got wild sounds for Windy City, wild sounds for traffic, wild sounds for city sirens, and then look at all of these effects. Typing, data, guns, static, motorcycle interior, and so on and so on. And then we have a few Foley tracks for punches. Looks like we did some layering of punch shots to make it more juicy. So we've got punches and punches 2. And then we've got kicks. And then, of course, we've got music. Looks like we've got 2 music tracks. Music main, and then if we scroll to the right, we'll see that, oh yeah, it looks like we added some drums in there to punch in the dramatic part of the film. So, number 1, we talked about this in class a little bit. One good thing to do is this thing called gain staging. So you'll see the waveforms in my project are pretty much all in the middle. So this little button right here, where this mouse is right here, this is what modifies what's called the gain. For those of you who have done recording or taken live TV classes, you'll know that gain, another word for gain is trim. And what that does is it increases the amplitude of your audio signal as it's coming in. Now that's pre-mix, that's pre-fader. So right now, for example, sometimes you'll get audio that's like this, super quiet. That means that when you're mixing, you're just going to push your fader all the way up just to even hear it. You might say to yourself, oh man, I wish this track was just louder to begin with. Then I'd have more flexibility with my fader. Well, that's what this is for. This is your gain or trim. This boosts the volume before it hits your mixer. So if you've got some audio that's like this, you want to kind of get in the middle like that. If you've got some audio that's like this, you want to bring it down to there. And the reason you do that is because you'll see when we get to mixing, we want all of our faders to basically be able to play off of each other. And if some faders are way down because it's so loud, and if some faders are way up because it's so quiet, you can't really use those two together because they don't have the wiggle room, right? Think about it. If there's a fader all the way down or all the way up, you can't push it down anymore and you can't push it up anymore because you're doing that just to compensate for the badly recorded audio. If you use what's called gain staging, you can pump it up a little bit or pump it down. And that way your fader could just stay in the middle and you could pump it up and pump it down during the mix to your heart's content. Now I did this because you'll want to do this specifically for pretty much for everything. So what I like to do is let's move this little guy off to the side just so we got some room. Let's look at our dialogue tracks first. We always kind of go down the line. Okay, so it looks like right here, this one could stand to go down a little bit. This one could stand to go down. This one could stand to go down a little bit. That one's pretty good. Yeah, and that one's pretty good too. We like them to all visually look at the waveform. We don't want them to clip, but we don't want them like super like tiny either. We want it just kind of right in the middle. We want it to kind of get close. This one could go up a little bit. I'd take that back. We want it to be nice and loud, but not clip. That one, so we did. It's like here, it's hitting the edge right there. We don't want it to slam into the edge. It's okay if it hits it. We just don't want it to slam into the edge. Okay, then we go down to something. We go down to basically the background tracks. Okay, background tracks you don't want necessarily to be super loud either because they're background, but a lot of times background tracks look like this. You need to pump it up a little bit. You don't want to pump it up to that because then that's just over the top. What I like to do is just get them all relative to each other. A nice solid signal, kind of like that, and get all of your background tracks on the same page as far as like the width of the waveforms. Okay, those look good. And you just go on down the line. Now, I pretty much already did this, but as you can see, look, the motorcycle, I've got a couple different motorcycle tracks. As you can see, they're equal to each other. I've got the helicopter track. That could probably, no, that's actually pretty good. Let's see here. The music track, that could probably go up a little bit. So I'm going to pump that up a little bit. There we go. Let's look at this one. Oh, this one can definitely go up. There we go. And what we're doing is we're just getting them basically all on a sort of an even playing field relative to the category that they're in. So the music track should kind of be on the same level. The background track should be on the same level. The Foley track should be on the same level. That way when you're mixing, you'll be able to really mix back and forth because they're all about the same volume. Okay. Once you've done this, again, it's called gain staging. Hold on a second. You're ready to do some mixing. So, number one, always go in the order that we've talked about this entire class. Dialogue, background, FX, Foley, and music. Now, I'm going to put up a graphic. Let's see. There's a graphic I put up that actually I got from a movie called Making Waves, and it shows you all the different basic categories. There's dialogue, there's the effects, and there's the music. And you'll see when we reach the end of this why it's important to keep these things in their categories. So, start with the dialogue. Scroll to the top. Again, dialogue is pretty much only in this spot. Pretty much starts about right here. So what we do is, remember, dialogue is king. And what are our levels supposed to be set at? At the peak, -3. So we want our dialogue at its peak to hit -3 tops, okay? So let's go into our mix window. Window, mix. Boom, look at that. Look at all these tracks. This might look familiar to you. So what I like to do, this is where window real estate comes into play. What I like to do is zoom out. And the cool thing about Pro Tools is it'll just play what you highlight. So I'll start a couple seconds before the first track. And the length that I highlight is the length it will play. And I go up to, where are you? Is this what I think it is? Yes, options, loop playback. That way, when it hits the end, it just starts over the beginning. And that will come in handy when we're mixing. So, go back into mix. Okay. So remember, this is where color coding comes in handy. Our dialogue is dark blue. We see that because it's right there. So what I like to do is just start with dialogue. So I will solo my dialogue tracks. And what I like to do is I like to start with a basic write. So you start off in write mode. And we talked about this in class, so I don't feel like I need to discuss it again. And you can always look at the class video too. But there are different modes. Write mode, when it's engaged, that means you were recording the whole time. So I like to go through one pass, the first pass, in write mode. And what I'll do is I will do it like this. That way you can, I should do like that. You can watch it happen as we're writing. Okay. So I'll put these on volume view. Right here it says waveform. I'll put it on volume so you guys can watch what happens in write mode. Okay. So I hit the space bar, and then this is where I play with my mouse on the faders.
You've got multiple tangos on the rooftop. You go in two. I can't hold it here long. Let's go! Let's go! Go, go, go!
This is X-ray control. You have initiated the extraction, and we do not yet have visual. Zero, come in. Do you copy? This is X-ray control. Zero, do you copy? Zero, where are you? Come in. Zero!
You've got multiple...
Okay. So when you're in write mode, it's important to stop when you reach the end, because in write mode, it's kind of like hitting record. It stays in record until you take it out of write mode. So what you might have seen is when you do it in write mode, you just kind of do a first pass to get a general feel, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to miss a lot of stuff. For example, right here, and this top one right here, which was the DX Boom AFX track. If we watch the levels, which is this first one right here, watch what happens.
You go in two. I can't hold it here long. Let's go! Let's go! Go, go, go!
When I said it, let's go, 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 go,
Go
it
with you.
peaked. So I'm gonna have to fix that bit, but only that bit. So this bit right here, I'm not going to have to do the whole thing. And I don't even have to do all three tracks at once again. I'm just going to do this bit by highlighting this bit. And let's go back in the mix window.
Let's go! Let's go! Go, go, go!
And you'll see what happens. What's cool about Pro Tools, doing a first pass in write mode is very common. And then when you're done, it automatically defaults to touch mode. Touch mode is cool because it's basically you do pass in write mode and it's basically do kind of a rough mix, and then you go back and select the bits that need improvement. Maybe some of it was right on, maybe some of it wasn't, maybe 80% of it needs to get improved, whatever you want. All you got to do is highlight the bit that you want to improve, go into the mix window, and if you're in touch mode, if your hands are not clicking the mouse on the fader, it doesn't write. So what you can do is, actually, I'm going to highlight this whole thing so you see what I'm talking about. I'm going to hit play, but when you see this mouse move, and you'll see it'll highlight, and when it highlights, that's when I'm clicking it. That's when it actually starts writing.
Can't hold it here long. Let's go, let's go, 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 go.
And then I let go, and it just snaps back to where it was. See that?
You go in two. I can't hold it here long. Let's go, 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 go.
Oh, still peaked a little bit. So I'm going to do it one more time in touch mode. And now I'm going to touch it now.
Go in two. I can't hold it here long. Let's go, 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 go.
And then you just go on down the line. So then maybe, let's see here. I think she might have been a little quiet on this line. Let's listen.
Zero, come in. Do you copy?
Okay, I am going to unsolo the ADR because that's getting in the way.
Zero, come in. Do you copy?
Okay, she's a little loud.
Zero, come in. Do you copy?
She's copy? That's a little distorted.
come in. Do you copy?
Okay, you see that?
0, come in. Do you copy?
I brought it down. Watch.
0, come in. Do you copy? 0, come in. Do you copy?
Okay. Brought it down before it hits distortion. Great. And now let's look at the ADR. The ADR is a lot of grunts and stuff, and a lot of it is overly loud. So I think probably the whole thing just needs to come down. But I'll highlight the bit that I need to touch up, go into mix mode, solo the track I need to touch up, make sure I'm in touch mode, and then play it. All right, I let go. And then bring it down a little bit. Oh, I have to retouch that one again. I think this one needs to go down. And then this one too. All right, I think that was better. I think this one, if I remember right, I missed. Yep, okay. Do it one more time. Okay. So again, I'm just kind of rushing through this to give you guys the idea. So you do this for each section. When that's done, go ahead and move on to your backgrounds. Oop, hold on. It's hard to tell. There we go. Okay, remember my backgrounds. This is where color coding comes in handy. The backgrounds are these. Oops. Oh, it's not going to do it, is it? Oh, that's right. I could just do this. The backgrounds are these yellow guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo these. And what I like to do is I like to play. Remember, dialogue is king. So you don't want these to be too loud. So I am going to keep my dialogue soloed along with my backgrounds, because I want to mix these backgrounds relative to the dialogue. And then once you get the background section done, you probably get the idea. Keep everything soloed and then move on down to the effects, and then mix the effects volume in relation to the background and dialogue, and so on and so on. So what I like to do is when you're done with the first section, dialogue, here where it says touch, just go ahead and put it in read mode. Just put it in read mode. What that means that there's no chance you're going to write on it. It's in read mode, but you'll still be able to listen to your automation. If you put it in off, what that does is it literally just mutes your automation. It'll just play it at the loud gain level that you set it before. But you want to hear the fruits of your labor, so keep it in read mode. So now we're on the backgrounds. So what do? Start off by putting them in write mode. And now what we do, actually here, open up volume, 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 boom, and then let's just play it from the top and start mixing. I myself think everything should start at the bottom, like so. Looks like, yeah, let's just do it. City traffic. So I'm mixing these sounds in relation to each other right now, right? As you can see, those two sounds just dropped off.
On the rooftop.
Ooh, I gotta bring this down.
You go in too. I can't hold it here long. Let's go. Let's go. Go, go, go.
X-ray control. You have initiated the extraction, and we do not yet have visual. Zero, come in. Do you copy? copy? Zero, where are you? Come in, Zero!
Okay, so again, the writing pass is usually like, oh, 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 you're usually a few seconds too late. But a lot of times, like right here, this little bit right here, oops, that part was fine. And the fade up was fine. This part right here, I'm gonna fade this part out. So what I'm gonna do is take a guess, put these two in touch mode. So I'll start with the first one. Fade it out slowly. Okay, and then we'll do it again. Is that Sear Sirens there? Yeah, okay. Let's see here. I always hit the wrong button. There we go. Okay, now touch mode. Touching. And if you just want a cool little idea of what we just did, launch the faders. Look, no hands. Yeah. Okay. So that was basically, I mean, there's more touch up I need to do, but you get the idea.